Hey, what's going on, you creeps? It's Joshua from the Based on True Events podcast, and I want to take a second to talk about Anchor. Now, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. I know I could probably stop right there, but I won't. So there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Basically, nobody listens to you. It don't matter. You can still make that money. That's exactly right. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
Back at it again.
Again. What's going on, man?
Shit.
We're just telling a story at the end of the day.
You can enjoy a fully clothed, totally platonic cuddle session. Not sure what we're doing.
Are these lines safe? Yeah, we can literally say anything we want.
Talk mad shit.
Please continue to follow us. You can find us on all social medias.
All social medias.
All social medias.
All podcasts.
Everywhere that you could listen to a podcast, we're pretty much there. Rolling.
Shit.
We are back.
We are back. Back.
Yes, sir.
So how's it going, man?
It's going well, dude.
With your fucking Zach Morris phone over there, like you said. That is the most ridiculous phone case I've ever seen. It will fit in no pocket.
None whatsoever. Well, yeah, it's not supposed to, but what it does do is it nobody's going to steal this. It stops people from stealing my phone, and it's hilarious.
Well, who stole it in the first place?
I don't know. Apple was like, somebody turned it in, and I was like, for what reason? Because it was dead. The battery was dead, and I kept calling it. And it was dead. And one time I called it like 4 days later. All of a sudden it rang, and I was like, oh shit! Called back, it rang. I said, somebody charged my phone, and then they answered, this is so and so at Apple, and I was like, hey, and so somebody had turned it in to try to be unlocked.
Oh, well, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and I was like, so anybody could just come in, like you don't need any proof of whatever. And they're like, how do we know it's you? And I was like, well, you fucking charged it. Why don't you touch that home screen and look at the fucking picture of me and my son on the fucking screensaver? So, I was like, Jesus.
Well, and what asshole doesn't like?
Dude, this is an old ass phone too, but this is the phone that I give to pissed off customers. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
I didn't really care that it was stolen, but I was like, sweet, I don't have to buy another shitty phone.
Right. Oh, so that's on you to buy your work phone? Like,
well, no, it's on me that I chose to have a secondary number. Like, because we have a third line, long ass story. I'm not going to fucking bore people with it, but basically we have a free third line because AT&T fucked up. And so I was like, well, I've got this extra line, and I'm tired of customers calling because they have to get a hold of me, and I bounce around, and I wasn't going to give them my personal cell.
Right. Well,
because trust me, they call constantly.
Technically, they're all your personal cell.
Well, right, but that's old. That's the only
you can
thing
like
I
leave,
use that
you
for.
You can like leave that phone here.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, I'm out.
And I don't ever answer it. Right. They leave a voicemail, and I can kind of like fucking.
Cool.
Yeah.
I got you.
You got me?
Well, I mean, thank you for the explanation. I was genuinely curious.
Yeah. But you don't like it? For those of you listening, it's literally like the fucking Zach Morris phone. It's humongous. It
is like bigger than the Zach Morris phone. Like when I say it won't fit in a pocket, that is completely accurate. I mean, it will. I take that back. It'll fit in a pocket. It'll fit in like cargo shorts.
A backpack.
A backpack pocket. Like it's not going to fit in your jean pocket.
No.
It's just.
So don't worry about my phone, all right?
It's a bit much.
Don't be worrying about my shit.
You can see that phone from space. Like satellites track you with.
Good, I'll never lose it.
Cool. Space Nazis.
By the way, are you yeah, oh dude. Loved it. Are you ever worried about the whole they're tracking us? Do you give a fuck? See, I don't give a fuck at all.
Why?
Facebook, they're the picture, all the trending whatever things that go on, and you take a photo and then it turns you old, and they're saying, oh, they're just using it to whatever. I could see you being somebody who's like, they're out to get us and all that, and I'm just like, nah, fuck it. Who cares, right? What information do we have to hide?
Why would I be that person?
I don't know, because you're a thinker. You're not really a paranoid type, but I could see you being like, oh, yeah, they're getting my information and my shit. You're a very private person.
Well, yeah, but my thing is, like, I'm private from, like, the Looney Tunes that just exist out in the world.
Well, that's true. I mean, you're not, yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of fucking sicko, crazy-ass people in the world that I don't want just being able to, like, walk up in my shit.
You're not worried about the government?
No, dude. Like,
Yeah.
A, they got bigger fish to fry than me.
Right.
B, if they want something to stick to you, then they can just do that. Like, why? They don't need any actual evidence. Like, they can
that's
just
true.
make
If
their
they're-
own evidence.
That's very true. Well, I'm not doing anything.
Like, they can fake video these days, like, with your face. Like, even though you're right here with me, they can do that, like, face
They can put me
swap
wherever.
shit and put you anywhere they want at any time and be like, oh, yeah, that was him.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't know,
why-
like the
why-
whole thing. Like we've gotten into the Google stuff before, but I feel like
Yeah, the Google's apparently, like, one of your things now. Like, you're like super freaked out by that fake ass conspiracy theory I made up.
that you made up.
The one where I was like Google could just, like, AI in Google could just have us all sheep in the fucking wind. Like, nobody would know if our computer systems just decided to go self-aware and then just not tell us anything, like, give us the wrong information, fuck with our, GPS, fuck with our navigation. Like, if it became self-aware, it could totally just outlast us. Like, why the fuck would it give a shit about killing us? Like, just fuck you.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, so I don't get paranoid or worried about that stuff because it's like, oh, no, man. Like,
If there's nothing that you can do to fucking.
well, there's nothing that you can do, and, like, at the end of the day, like, what if I were, like, a senator or someone of power or something?
Well,
then yeah, okay, I could see, like, getting a little freaked out about, ooh, they might get on my phone and I did something stupid, or whatever. But I'm just some dude. Like, who gives a fuck about me? So
that's what I'm saying. I don't care because I don't really have anything to hide.
Yeah.
I mean, other than our search history at this point, but I mean, we've got this as proof. But yeah, I've never people. You hear it all the time. People are, they're fucking watching us. All the Russians. I'm like, I just don't care about people. If let them watch.
People don't vaccinate their children.
Well, that's true. So what you're saying is people are morons.
People think the Earth is flat. Like, what? I mean, do you need more examples of
It's
why?
not.
Dude, if you're getting all right,
Yeah, no, I'm not.
all
Yeah,
right.
you don't have to go on an Earth flat tangent. I agree with you. It is not flat.
Just read, like, a counterpoint every once in a while.
What, to that argument?
Not you.
No, right.
Like, anybody who's sitting on the shitter, like, scrolling through the internet, and they come across, like, clickbait, and they're like, ooh. Like, I mean, the Russian sleep experiment's a perfect example. Slender Man is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Of, like, the wildfire that the internet can cause. Like, no, dude, just think for, like, 10 seconds. Like, why? And nobody gives a shit about you.
Yeah, nobody.
Like,
right.
not you personally, but
No, I get
I mean, nobody gives a shit about you, but
That's true too.
but the fact is, like, all these people, anybody who's ever come up to me and like, oh, the fucking internet, they're tracking
watching you.
Like, you're the most uninteresting motherfucker on the planet.
Ain't nobody watching you.
Ain't nobody's wasting, like, any time going through your shit.
So I guess maybe I said that wrong. I don't feel like you would care if they're watching you as much as I think that I figured that.
I would believe that it was happening.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for my words are weren't there.
My words hurt.
Yeah. But so, yeah, I figured you'd be like, oh, yeah, they're definitely fucking watching.
Again, this kind of boils down to that resources thing. Like, do they have the resources to do it? Probably. Would they waste them?
Would they waste the time?
No.
Yeah. Not on us.
No. Or 85 to 90% of the people on the social meds or generally on any message board, you know.
Yeah.
They are much more occupied with domestic terrorism, foreign terrorism.
The list is pretty long. Yeah.
Global warming,
Yeah.
Energy crisis. Like, there's a fucking long list of shit that is pretty dire before they get to two dudes sitting in a basement,
Joshua and Shep,
fucking off on a podcast.
They may be, oh, this is a really good fucking podcast.
Yes, these guys are really knocking it out of the park.
So for those of you that are on the social medias and you're really worried about people watching you, stop worrying.
But while you're on the social media,
Ding, ding,
you can
ding.
check us out on Instagram and Facebook.
Wouldn't that be the worst if that whole fucking bullshit conversation was just a setup?
Yeah,
we're not that clever.
No, we're
Trust
not.
me.
It just
But we are on the social medias.
yes, we are.
Hit
on
us up.
Instagram and the Facebook.
Based on True Events Podcast.
And we're on the Twatter.
That's right. Podcast Boat. Podcast BOTE.
And if you don't fuck around with the wildfire that is,
Because they're watching you on social media.
because they're watching you on social media,
That's all right. Gmail us.
Gmail us
At?
based on true events podcast at gmail.com.
That's right. We've got a couple of contests. Well, a contest going right now. We're continuing, I should say. I wrote for Boat.
I wrote for Boat. Get
We'll-
a t-shirt.
We'll pick our favorite suggestion and send you a free shirt.
Yep. And then we actually are working on a merch side of the podcast. I feel like
Yeah.
we have a couple of options when it comes to distributors and things like that.
Yeah.
We have some ideas on what we want to do. I'm a huge fan of beanies and sweatshirts and
Oh,
t-shirts.
yeah.
So I think it's just
For me, it's
a normal.
Yeah, for me,
idea.
it's finding cool art or cool sayings or, like fucking Unicorn Farts Bill
Yeah.
is aces, man. I want to rock that shirt.
Yeah. It's aces. I haven't never once in all the years that we've been friends ever heard you say it's aces.
I don't know if I've ever said it.
Yeah,
I'm trying something new.
trying something new.
Yeah, we're going to get weird tonight.
Okay, already getting weird. And then our obviously after the I wrote for Bert boat contest.
If you wrote for Bert.
Yeah, I wrote for Bert. Well, you could be writing for Bert, but
That's true.
Is the you choose, we lose.
That's right.
Field trip.
Field trip to
Episode.
a haunted location. You guys choose which spot, and we're going to go there and do an episode. You got the Hannah
Punderson
House.
Manor.
Punderson Manor. Don't fucking choose that. Just because it's economical.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. So we got the Hannah House. We got Waverly. We got Whistler's Estate and Punderson Manor. You choose, we lose. You choose, Shep lose. I'm stoked to go anywhere because they're all going to be dope.
Cool.
Yeah, but choose Waverly. That's where we want to go.
I mean, it's whatever. As long as it's not cold, I'll go. Fucking care.
Oh shit!
I mean, Waverly is outdoors for the
There
most
are
part.
literally no windows. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, please, we're postponing the field trip until it's warm enough out that I'm not going to be a whiny cunt about it.
You're gonna be a whiny hard C anyway.
I'm gonna start dropping cunt in every episode, man. Just
I don't think
litter it
I don't
in
have
there.
enough conviction. Like I can't
I'm
say
just
it
gonna
without.
litter it in there. Just
I gotta-
sprinkle it like salt on.
That's all right. You do you. It's all right when you say it. It just rolls off your tongue. I'm like I got to do a Charlie Day hard C.
No, to me, cunt is just a word. You know, I mean, I know it really is offensive to other people, and that's fine. I'm not trying to be offensive. It's just a word to me.
If you're easily offended, this ain't the show for
Yeah.
you.
Episode 35 or whatever we're on. You know, if you haven't realized that we have some coarse language, then I'm sorry. But to me, the word twat is a much more disturbing and offensive word.
Great.
Than the
I
word
literally
cunt.
say that word every fucking time we plug ourselves on Twatter.
Yeah. So
Twatter's okay.
to me,
Twat's unacceptable.
Twat, like if you call it just sounds sloppy and
You twat.
you're a twat. Like it's just fucking gross. Like I've had this conversation with multiple people, and there's a different opinion for people who are from Europe.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Well,
cunts.
Irish dudes dropping cunt. That's like every other word. I mean,
Right. So, but
they sound cool when they say anything, though.
like in America, if you say cunt, that's like,
Whoa.
people are like, oh my God.
Shit's getting real.
Oh my God.
Them's are fighting words.
Them is fatting words. But in my house, my wife and I can call each other cunt, and it's like cool, like
Term of
whatever.
endearment.
Yeah, it's like it's fine. But
Oh, you cunt.
one of us calls the other one a twat, and it's like,
Oh, shit.
so
Family meeting.
yeah, it's a family meeting. Do we need a mediator?
Yeah, you literally need earmuffs in your house, dude, for your kid. That term, earmuffs, is fucking. It is made for your son.
Well, like basically, we've had to institute a after 8 o'clock swearing rule. So
Fair enough.
he goes to bed at 8, like hard 8 o'clock bedtime for him. So
I fucking wish.
yeah, dude, your kid is a night owl.
Yeah, he is. His daddy is not.
You used to be. Now you're just.
Fucking, I'm a twat. So let's get the show on the road so my ass can go to bed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's my episode.
It is your episode.
And this was you gave this to me, I believe.
This was on my original list.
Right.
So I think it has. We've had maybe a couple people actually request it, which brought it back up.
Sweet.
But you every couple weeks, month or so, you might see a little, and it's the same urban legend kind of pop up in this episode. So.
Well, so this is Real Life Exorcism is what you gave me. And I love paranormal shit. And even like some things, you know, like paranormal creep me out or whatever, but for some reason exorcisms, the possessed, that whole thing just really fucking give me the heebie-jeebies.
That's the next level for you.
Yeah, and I'm not real sure why. I think it's, and we're not going to get into that really, but I think it's because if somebody is possessed by the devil, does that mean that there's actually a devil and God? And I don't know. And it maybe fucking it fucks up my whole belief system, and you know what I mean. So it's
if
like
you believe in one, then you got to believe in the other, and if you believe in the
Maybe.
other, then what have I been doing wrong?
Yeah, maybe. I feel like it's something along those lines that.
Okay,
But also, it's fucking just the possession is fucking scary, dude. So let's get into it.
possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah, oh God. All right, so for those of you out there that don't know what an exorcism is, exorcism is
Well, I mean, no, there might be value in that because I don't know that people are like, I may not know that there's a process. So.
Well, okay, fair enough. I'm going to tell you. Exorcism is the religious or spiritual practice of evicting demons or other spiritual entities from a person or an area that is believed to be possessed. Depending on the spiritual beliefs of the exorcist, this may be done by causing the entity to swear an oath, performing an elaborate ritual, or simply by commanding it to depart in the name of a higher power. The practice is ancient and part of the belief system of many cultures and religions. Requested and performed exorcism began to decline in the United States by the 18th century and occurred rarely until the latter half of the 20th century, when the public saw a sharp rise due to the media attention exorcisms were getting. There was a 50% increase in the number of exorcisms performed between the early 60s and the mid-70s.
So, okay. So if there were 2, then all of a sudden there was 3.
Yeah. Yeah. A huge
It was a
uprise.
huge statistical uprising.
The increase was 50% increase. So, well, no, if there was 2, then it would be 4.
Wouldn't that be 100%? All right. Never mind.
Math is
That
hard.
That would be doubled.
That'd be double. That'd be, yeah, you're right.
So,
Oh, fuck me.
cool.
So the next
Off
episode,
the-
Josh is going to learn math.
Off the rails, boys and girls.
So that is exorcism, and most people probably think immediately of the movie The Exorcist, of course. And there's been a lot, and I did a lot of research on this. And
it took you like 2 weeks to get this one together.
Well, I wasn't sure which way I want to go with it because, there's a lot of stories, like a shit ton of, I'm using air quotes, real life exorcisms in history. There's videos all over, YouTube, and there's documentaries. Some are clearly faked. Some are in a theory or allegedly real. So I wasn't sure which way I was going to go. There was two stories that stuck out. I'm going to start with this one. And you actually sent me a photo of this, and I told you I was going to talk about this. Annalise Michel, I believe is the correct way to pronounce her name. This is one of the most famous, again, true stories involving an exorcism.
Considered to be true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna I want to get into another story, but this one was interesting and frankly sad. But Anna Elizabeth Annalise Michel was a German woman who underwent Catholic exorcism rites during the year before her death. She was diagnosed with epileptic psychosis, temporal lobe epilepsy, and had a history of psychiatric treatment, which was overall not effective. When Michelle was 16, she experienced a seizure and was diagnosed with psychosis caused by temporal lobe epilepsy. Shortly thereafter, she was diagnosed with depression and was treated by a psychiatric hospital. By the time she was 20, she had become intolerant of various religious objects and began to hear voices. Her condition worsened despite medication, and she became suicidal, also displaying other symptoms for which she took medication as well. After taking psychiatric medication for 5 years, this failed to improve her symptoms. Michelle and her family became convinced she was possessed by a demon. As a result, her family appealed to the Catholic Church for an exorcism. It's crazy you actually have to appeal.
Yeah.
It's like a whole process. While rejected at first, after much hesitation, 2 priests got permission from the local bishop in 1975. Annalise Michel stopped eating food and died due to malnourishment and dehydration. Michelle's parents and the 2 Roman Catholic priests were found guilty of negligent homicide and were sentenced to 6 months in jail, which was reduced to 3 years of probation, as well as a fine. This was the exorcism of Emily Rose, the movie. This is what this was based off of. Had you heard of that? But previously?
I didn't actually know that was the exorcism of Emily Rose story.
Right.
And I imagine they took some serious liberties with the telling of that story.
Big time.
Especially considering the fact that Emily Rose and okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But I have heard that story. Just in my travels in life, I've run across certain stories that are considered to be exorcist related.
Right.
Exorcism related.
Well,
stories.
this one,
but yes, I was aware of that one.
So this one is, and in no way, obviously they changed it for the movie if you watch the movie, but she and I listened. I watched a documentary on this. I read a really long article about the details of her life. She had a rough go at it. Let's put it that way. So it's a really sad story. Period. Like she went through depression, and the thing is, she started hallucinating. She was very religious. Her parents were very strict. She went to the I don't remember if it was a Catholic school, but I believe that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
She was made fun of, and she was the weird kid. And then so she started taking medicine and started hallucinating, saying that she saw like demon faces and all these things. And what was fucked up about it is that they didn't put 2 and 2 together. So when she takes this medication, she sees she hallucinates. Or when she stops taking it, this happens. It was an entire...
It's what, the 70s, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean...
And it was in Germany? Is that correct?
She was a German woman. That's where she's from. I believe everything took place in Germany. Yes.
Okay. So...
Yeah, correct.
Track record of German...
Yeah, I mean,
science and medical,
okay.
Like
they put up space Nazis.
Well, no, we did that.
That's true.
We did that.
That's true.
They were trying.
They were trying.
We
We
just
succeeded.
yeah. We just called them up to the majors.
Well, so she the whole, and there are horrible images of her during these exorcisms, that she had, and I don't remember the number, but it was a lot.
It was like 85 or
It was something crazy. I think I read 72, but whatever. It was more than yeah, like
more than a small amount.
Yeah, for sure.
It wasn't like 2.
No, but the whole thing is these images, like she's decrepit, and she's literally, she looks like she's just fading away. It's because she's not eating. She's literally malnourished.
Yeah.
They've got her like basically locked up in a room, on a bed.
Did you guys remember to feed her?
Yeah. Hey, did anyone feed Michelle, or Annalise?
No, dude. It was your day. It was your day to feed her.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll show you this. Did you see these images?
Yeah.
Where they're holding her down, and she looks like she's got a black eye, and it's haunting, and it's scary, and it's horrible. But what it turns out is she was epileptic. I'm sure I said that wrong, but
you said frontal cortex, right?
It was shit. Temporal lobe epilepsy.
Okay.
So
I know that the frontal lobe is like all your higher brain function happens up there.
Huh.
So depending on where you're having these seizures will manifest different.
Interesting. Well, she had one seizure, and then a year went by, and she didn't have another episode, and then she had another seizure, and then another year or so went by, and so they were really spread out at first, and then it kind of flared up, and it got pretty intense.
Yeah.
There is,
generally when you don't take care of a medical condition, it tends to get worse over time.
well, good theory. Yeah, that's very true. Well, I mean, clearly this was just poor judgment and across the board
German
with
Catholic.
people. Yeah, well, people who are
In the 70s.
True. So religion's wacky, man.
Yes.
There is. I'm going to play a little clip here.
I'm pretty sure no war has ever been started based on religion, right?
Oh no, never.
It's all based on love.
There's definitely no extremists out there.
Holding hands and hugs.
I'm going to play this video that I found. It was from like dailymotion.com. This is, I'll say allegedly. I tried to find if it would ever proven if this was truly audio from one of her exorcisms, but in theory, I'll say, just to be fair, this is the audio from one of those. Let me see if we can get this to play here. Hopefully, you can hear it all right.
Parents and the priest were charged with negligent homicide. We will now play a section of the audio from one of the sessions. The demons which were supposedly talking were identified by the priests as Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Hitler, and Nero.
Die müssen in eigenen Seminaren ausgebildet werden, die dürfen nicht auf die anderen Universitäten. Kapiert?
Number 2.
All right, so that
I mean, it's obviously supposed to be a different.
clearly it's a different language, yeah. But did you not hear where he said Hitler?
Yeah, I did. I heard.
Yeah,
I heard it.
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
First
very
off,
spooky, very creepy.
The minute that you hit play and I heard the guy's voice who was presenting the video, I was like, "This is all bullshit."
Well, he's just the guy who's making the YouTube
I don't
video
care.
or whatever.
I'm sorry. Like that guy immediately discounted the whole.
Fair enough. Well, so that audio has been circulated across the internet, and the internet does what it does, is it spreads. And now, granted, every video that I saw, every documentary that I watched of audio of exorcisms, it's horrifying. The ones where they're speaking in either a tongue or, now obviously it's a different language, Italian or whatever, German, whatever it may be.
Most of the time, I think it's supposed to be Latin, bro.
Latin,
yeah.
right. But sometimes it's a tongue that whatever. We can't understand what it says, but it's got a creepy aspect to it. So it's good for selling
That verbal range where it's that
growl, that raspy, yeah.
She could have fucking really made a career in heavy metal band.
Yeah, she's got a good growl.
She's got.
Well, so, and so part of me was going, okay, I can do a whole episode on her, but really I didn't want to, because that's one of the most famous stories, and that's what you sent me, and that's what most people have actually looked at other podcasts, and that's the topic that most people, but all I found was that it's a sad story about a girl who had a medical condition that wasn't taken care of and died because of it. And then people are, I don't know if anybody's actually making money from this or whatnot. Obviously the Emmy really rose, but
Yeah.
But I mean, off of her life. But so sad story. The one, well, did you know that The Exorcist, there was a book?
Yeah.
And then a movie? Okay.
I know that's based on a true story.
Yeah, it is based on a true story, and that's the one I want to share.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one I want to share real quick, because I'd
Cool.
like to. This is a story that freaked me out a little bit.
Okay.
The Annalise was a sad tale, but that seems to be more well known than this. Strangely enough. So the cult film The Exorcist terrified the world more than 40 years ago. Blah blah blah. I don't need to tell you what the movie was made of or made about. It's a story that has gone to inspire films, sci-fi. The Exorcist had a whole series on it, all this sort of stuff. It got crazy. People were passing out. We talked about it before. Awesome movie, great, especially for the time frame. Super creepy.
Really surprised they were actually able to make that movie in that
and
time
release
period. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's actually the bigger victory of the story of The Exorcist.
Actually being able to put it out.
Actually being able to get that in the theater.
Yeah, and it was a hit because people loved being scared because, I mean, that's fucking, it was successful. We have William Peter Blatty, I guess Blatty, to thank for bringing the tale to the masses. In 1949, the author sat reading the Washington Post when he saw an article about a Maryland boy named Roland Doe to protect his identity. The story grabbed his attention so much that he went on to write his novel, which in turn became the cult movie that we all know and love. This is from mirror.co.uk.
That's weird because that is not the story I've heard as the basis. But that's
Interesting.
Cool. That's cool.
But what actually happened to Roland Doe? It all began with a 13-year-old boy, and I'm reading this straight from these guys. I thought they told the story well. A bookish child born to a German-American Protestant family.
Fucking Germans, man.
Yeah, I tell you. I wonder if they moved to Chicago. Mm-hmm. Family friends described the family as normal, but that all changed in the summer of 1948. Roland's aunt died, and he began to hear weird scratching noises in the basement. The boy said he saw an image of Jesus in his grandmother's room twist and move as if someone was hitting the wall behind it. Now, I don't think this story told it, but I did some research on this as well, and apparently they played with the Ouija board quite often in this household, and she was known as a spiritualist. So at first the family thought it was mice and called in pest control, but what happened next left them in no doubt this was not rodents. Roland's mattress moved violently in the middle of the night. There was a constant bashing coming from a basement. A smell of excrement flooded everywhere, and ordinary objects were suspended in the air. If I saw some shit, if I saw that, dude, I'm out. It wasn't just the family witnessing his attacks. A friend was in their house when the boy was sitting in a chair, and then quickly, without any warning, he was thrown from it and it landed multiple feet away. It was the first time that someone outside the family had witnessed the weird incidents. Things started to go wrong at school. Roland's family removed him after teachers claimed the desk would move during class as well as objects. He was seen as a troublemaker.
He was.
Yeah, he was. Okay. What it sounds like is shit's following him around. A fellow student explained what happened. This desk was shaking and vibrating extremely fast, and I remember the teacher yelling at him to stop, and I remember he yelled back, "I'm not doing it." When Roland's mother walked in to find his... Oh, I'm sorry. So it skips ahead a little bit. This is back at the home. Apparently, this shit's happening to this poor kid everywhere he goes. When Roland's mother walked in to find his bed shaking, they decided enough was enough. She tried to speak with what she thought was the spirit of Roland's aunt, imploring her to stop and asking her questions. She claims to have heard something scratching the mattress until it fell to the floor. The family was at their wits' end. Roland was possessed by his dead aunt. They turned to a Lutheran pastor who, when he realized how bad things were, recommended they contact a Catholic priest. They jumped right to yep, he's possessed by the aunt.
Yeah, they go quick. They went quick with that.
Yeah. A local priest was sent, but Roland screamed at him in Latin. I'm not going to try to read the Latin, but it translates.
Just go.
Yeah, it translates, "O priest of Christ, you know that I am the devil." Disturbed and shaken by what he had seen, the priest applied to the church to carry out an exorcism. Tests were held, and the church requires mental and physical evaluations to be done before exorcisms can take place. The boy was taken to Georgetown.
Except in Germany in the 70s.
In the 70s. The boy was taken to Georgetown University Hospital, a Jesuit-run institution where he could be cared of. Jesuit, is that like a branch of...
It's like a super orthodox branch of Catholicism.
Catholicism, yeah.
I could be wrong.
I think it's a branch of the Catholic.
By no means am I a Nobel laureate when it comes to religious doctrine or sex.
I think you're right, though. It's anyway.
I said sect, not sex.
Sects. Rumors abounded, including that the priest wore rubber clothing under their cassocks.
Okay.
All right. As the boy kept urinating on them. I guess a cassocks was the fucking...
It's the shit they're wearing, bro.
Their dress?
Yeah.
All right. Attempts to exorcise him began in earnest. In the middle of their first try, Roland broke free of his restraints and slashed one of the priests with a bed spring on the arm, maiming him for life. The records state that there appeared scratches on the boy's body for about four successive nights. After the fourth night, words were written in printed form. These letters were clear but seemed to have been scratched on the body by claws. Just 5 days after Roland had been brought to the hospital, he was whisked back home.
Why?
I don't know why. I wish they'd say.
Okay.
Public records show Roland stated...
Insurance is out. You out of money, bro.
Sorry, kid.
You on the rail. You on the street.
They dropped your ass. Roland stayed at the hospital under his real name, and the medical and psychiatric evaluations took place. They all came back normal. Desperate, his parents decided to have him baptized, but on his way to church, Roland turned to his uncle, who was driving, screaming, "You son of a bitch. You think I'm going to be baptized, but you are going to be fooled." Witnesses claim that Roland thrashed about as priests tried to carry out a relatively short service. When asked, "Do you renounce the devil and all his works?" he went into a rage and had to be restrained. Not long after Roland was checked out, the family moved to St. Louis. Whatever was possessing him seemed to agree, as Louis appeared written on his rib cage, despite his mother saying he had been under constant supervision and that no one else had seen him do it. The possession was far from over. In his new home, the strange goings continued. Roland's mother dotted blessed candles around the house, but they were always snuffed out. In one instance, a comb shot across the room, striking the candles. Fruit flew across the room and a kitchen table overturned. Milk and food went flying from the counters. One time a coat pulled itself from a hanger and a Bible landed at the boy's feet. Roland began to spin furiously in his chair. The family called upon another priest, William Bowdern, he was 52, who found Roland in a terrible state. He recoiled from anything religious, spoke in a deep guttural voice, and lashed out. He was moved to a psychiatric ward in the Catholic-run Alexian Brothers Hospital. What occurred during his stay remained a secret for many years, as the church doesn't permit priests to talk about exorcisms. So I'm gonna stop there. It goes on a little bit longer, but I'll kind of summarize. In theory, one of the priests wrote...
In theory.
Yeah, well...
or in summary.
No, well, in theory, one of the it is said that one of the priests wrote like a 27-page
account
of one of the exorcisms, and the boy's life. He had been monitoring him and everything else. But where the boy was staying and where the priest had the documents, that building caught on fire. But just before it actually went up in flames, somebody again, allegedly snagged the documents, all except 2 pages, and those documents were how the word spread, and then eventually the book got written. Because otherwise, how you ask this question all the time: who said that? Who saw it? How does anybody know? So, again, there's not 100% proof. I mean, this is, it is what it is. But that story has never been debunked. Yeah. And for me, I like that. Well, it didn't get too Hollywoody, and there, I know that there was a movie made, but that movie wasn't cheesy and hokey, and
No, they did that movie very well.
yeah, they did, and I feel like that story that it came from is more believable, if you will.
Than the Emily Rose story?
No. Then the movie. I'm saying like the true story.
Okay.
Like they added in the head spinning around and
Yeah.
That sort of shit.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Thoughts?
Oh, you want? Is it time for me to chime in?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you, the way I feel,
Okay.
but I mean thoughts on.
Okay, so here's my response to exorcism in general.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I would say until modern time, and by modern time I would say probably 1950-ish beyond.
50s, all right.
I would say a majority of your mental illnesses were misdiagnosed as something else. And depending on the influence of certain religious
Priests.
sects or religious influence would tip the hand of a diagnosis of mental illness or possession by an entity.
The devil or the entity. Okay, right.
Am I completely discounting demonic possession? Because at the end of the day, that's the conversation we're actually having.
That's the conversation
Right?
we're having right now.
You're not here to argue the validity of the
story.
of the process of exorcism.
No, not at all.
You're really talking about demonic possession.
Are they all mentally ill, or has anyone been possessed?
Okay. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The first story, the reason I liked and I chose those 2 stories because the first one was proven it was a mistake. Mm-hmm. She wasn't possessed. She was suffering, from epilepsy and things.
Okay,
The
so-
second one was not.
So the whole thing for me is when there's things that science that can't explain. Okay? And I've got a lot of issues with your second story, the one that creeps you out.
Interesting.
And the reason I have a lot of trouble with that story is because that story happened in the 40s. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not saying
What does that make?
mental illness itself wasn't very well
The
researched.
unknown.
At that
Yeah.
point.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of this information is second and third hand.
True.
Even to the point of we're getting the story supposedly smuggled out
Right.
before this
Oh, it could all be.
place
Yeah.
catches on fire and things like that.
Right.
So
right.
all right, so I'll try to put a nice tight bow on this for you.
It's not that easy for me.
So if you play forward, you're the believer in demonic possession.
right.
The idea that demonic spirits exist is the same thing we talked about at the beginning. Is if that exists, then the other side has to exist.
Right.
Right. It's the 2 sides of the coin.
Does
Right.
that mean God exists? Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I'm going to try to do this very gently because I'm tiptoeing on some rough shit here.
Hey, man.
Why would
Bring it.
why would our only defense against demonic possession be a bunch of kid-touching fuckers who aren't allowed to get married and do the whole thing. Okay, so
I figured that was what you were going to say.
So there's, I mean, I know that the Catholic Church kind of is like the all-star team when it comes to exorcisms, like considered the all-star team.
They're the starters.
But I don't think that they're the only ones who dabble in the exorcism field. I mean, you find a stank hippie out in the middle of nowhere, fucking Oregon, and I'm sure that they have crystals and sage, then they're going to tell you like that they're going to
cleanse you.
They can cleanse the house and cleanse the spirit.
100%. They get their chakra cleansers.
We're gonna get into that chakra and release your heart light. I'm not even talking shit about like, I mean,
no, I know.
Okay, so believing that the one side exists means that you got to kind of believe that the other side exists, which kind of means that you got to kind of go for the full Monty. Like you got to believe in all of it, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So why is the one side seeming to hold all the cards? You know, like if you believe like every time you hear about these demonic possessions, like the person's just essentially fucked.
Right.
You know, like they either starve to death or, you know, whatever.
Right.
Or, you know, they fucking, you gotta lock them up and they fucking never get out because they can never fucking expel the demon. And, you know, so if you truly believe that demonic possession exists, then that means you truly got to believe in God. Right. You got to believe in Jesus. You got to believe in the whole gamut.
If it is a satanic or a devil sent demon, right.
So, I mean, that seems like the Super Bowl of religious events for like, so why is the dark side essentially always winning? Right? Like, and why isn't, you know, Jesus calling in the starters?
Yeah.
To go kick the shit out of Lucifer, and
because his starting squad is a bunch of old men that touch little boys.
Right.
Peepees.
So the idea, I guess, maybe is like maybe we didn't get the full playbook before the game started.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty loose too. So okay, so I guess that would be my argument. So if you have this belief that, you know, demonic possession exists and that both sides exist, and, you know, we got this playbook of exorcism, then the idea that depending on who's starting the game, so to speak, the better they are at it, can expel the demon, right?
Right.
Because the Catholic Church has this like dogmatic idea that what we believe on earth will be held true in heaven.
Yeah.
Right. So that idea would be the belief actually becomes the strength of faith. And so the belief of whoever is conducting the exorcism would expel the demon. So
would have the power to. Yeah. Right.
But why? Like, I mean, I understand like the belief in that faith and that whole 9 yards, but like, dude, if there was ever a time for miraculous, like statues crying and the Virgin Mary showing up, like she always shows up above a church.
Yeah, right.
You know, and a bunch of people see her and then they cry and it's on the news for a week and, you know, Guatemala.
Right.
Why aren't we expelling the demons? That seems like a better use of the spiritual currency, so to speak.
Right.
Than appearing in somebody's toast in the morning.
In the toast. Oh shit, that's right.
So,
I burnt my toast. No, it's Jesus.
So we've kind of had this conversation, I guess, in a few different episodes. I do not discount that things like this could exist.
Right.
Because I haven't seen it all.
Right.
I'm definitely not on the front lines of exorcisms.
Fair enough.
I'm not a practicing anything when it comes to religion.
Right.
But I mean, I definitely have, it's kind of more of a scientific version of afterlife or what happens after we die.
Yeah.
It's probably actually more Eastern religion based, I think. But I can't really discount any of the religious stories. Some of it I think is probably more, just a proverb.
Yeah.
Some of it's just like, hey, don't fuck your neighbor over, because if you fuck your neighbor over, they're going to come over here and fuck you over.
Right.
Kind of conversation. Just rules for living.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have a ton of issues in general when it comes to religion.
Yeah, I know. Well, this is, you actually answered it. It's a hard, like, if you asked me in reverse, if you'd asked me the question, I would have said, I don't really know how to answer it, because I've got too many questions. Like, I do not think that Satan possesses anyone, because that I don't believe in God. So I'm like, I don't think that it's Satan possessing someone. I definitely don't think that those men, because it is men primarily, there's some probably fairly new modern Catholic churches that women can be ministers. Maybe maybe
I
not.
doubt it.
Okay, yeah, maybe
Doubt
not.
it.
It's like, I don't know.
It's a seriously strong misogynistic.
Okay. Right. Okay. So I don't think those men are somehow they have the power of God in them, and then they can speak for God, and they represent. I don't buy that. I think that people definitely, a lot of times it's a mental illness, 100%, and people are so religious crazy that I think it's a placebo pill type of thing also. Oh, the priest splashed the water on me. I feel it's leaving my body. It's a mental state, and I think that, that's part of it. I do like that story. The only issue that I had with the story is that they did an exorcism, but they said that they thought it was his aunt possessing him.
And then they're talking, yeah.
And then, so I was like, well, hold on. So now I do believe in ghosts. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe there is some sort of energy that can somehow
leech onto you.
Yeah, or something. And then that is the form of possession that maybe I can kind of grasp a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't discount possession. I think there's some crazy shit that we don't know that goes on. I don't think it is a religious... I don't think it's Satan, in other words, specifically. I don't think it's Hitler either. Which I was like, okay, hold on, that motherfucker just said it's Satan and Hitler.
I mean, the one thing, like, if you believe, whatever, let's say you believe all of it. I mean, it's kind of arrogant to think Satan is the one that's. Yeah. Like, doesn't that seem like it's
me?
Doesn't that seem like it's like below his pay grade?
Right. Like, when he send somebody to...
Yeah, like, doesn't he have a secretary or something?
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm not trying to put like
I'm the chosen one.
Too fine of a point on it.
No, right.
So okay. So the things that I would say, like, I'm not going to agree that it is an actual demonic possession unless there are seriously things that cannot be explained by modern science.
Right.
So, like, them saying, like, shit flew off the walls and like, they saw him jump out of the chair a couple feet, and he was shaking. The desk was shaking, but he wasn't doing it.
Well, that story, a lot of that was, hey, that's poltergeist action. So we could be talking about ghosts and shit. And
right.
And I do believe in that. So,
but I also believe that we got a lot of that information third hand. And a lot of those,
I agree.
A lot of the stuff, and it's in the 40s.
Yeah, true.
So, this story got told to that guy, and then that guy told this story, and then this story and it always balloons out,
Yeah, yeah.
So
maybe I should have rephrased it. I chose that story because I liked that story. Okay. Just as a story, whether it's real or not.
And I'm not shitting on it. I mean, every word of that could have been true.
Right. We don't know.
And we don't know.
It could all be absolutely bullshit. You're right.
So, like, there's, a mental condition where I think there was a guy that like got hit in the head. I don't know exactly the story. Had I known that this was coming,
Yeah.
I would research it. But
It's all good.
a guy got in like a car accident, hit his head, or something fell and hit him in the head. I don't know what the fuck it was. Got hit with a matic.
Right.
But then like when he like woke up from the head injury, like he could speak fluent
Different languages.
different language, and couldn't remember how to speak English or whatever it was.
Whatever his native tongue. Yeah.
And I've actually heard stories about people who've had traumatic brain injuries, and then all of a sudden like a section of their brain wakes up or like becomes more useful, and they're like these mathematical geniuses, and they understand.
Well, we only use a certain percentage.
That's bullshit, actually.
So
that's not true.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but that's like part of the whole.
Yeah, but I mean, really it has more to do with like where your synapses are connected. But the old wives' tale that you only use 10% of your brain, that's all bullshit.
Well, no, right. But I'm saying, like, I thought that's where you're going. Like, that's where the story works.
Right. No, it's just like rewires your brain.
Right. Okay.
And so like once, oh shit, that'll like, there was never any information going from this synapse to this synapse, and now that those two are connected, it changes the way that your brain functions when it comes to rational thought, or so I say that in a long-winded way of saying, like, when these motherfuckers are speaking in different tongues, like, that should never,
right,
that's less impressive to me, especially when they're very religiously tied. Like, these motherfuckers speak Latin in Catholic Church on the reg
all the time.
Yeah,
They're
especially the more like Orthodox, more closely related to the Orthodox Catholic religions. They're going to speak a lot more fucking Latin. Yeah,
and that is something that is always kind of said, that the person that's possessed is now speaking in tongues, or speaking Latin, or speaking whatever language.
That one doesn't really. That one doesn't shock me as much.
Yeah, the raspy growl. Because they've been screaming too much. Now they got a fucking horse. Sore throat. Okay.
The one with like the words carved on them.
Yeah.
Like they just had gotten done saying that he pulled a fucking bed spring out and slashed a dude, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, but he's got scratches on. No fucking shit, he's got scratches on him. Like he's doing some weird shit.
Well, they said that they wrote Lewis. Because St. Louis, I don't know. Yeah. Again, I didn't.
He should have a fucking paragraph written on him, or weird equations, or some
numbers that 666.
Well, I don't even the 666.
I know we're not going to get into it. I know.
But my thing is like, okay,
it's too easy to get you on a tangent.
It is. But so if you want to sell me demonic possession, I want it like. I gotta see. I don't need to see it. The story needs to come from reputable sources. Lots of science-based, reputable sources.
Yeah, and here's the thing:
they wouldn't have kicked his ass out of a hospital,
right?
If all of a sudden there's scratches. From like a protective services side of the argument,
he's a danger to himself.
It's a danger to himself, or somebody's endangering him,
right?
So they're not just going to send him home with the family.
No.
Even in the 40s, I don't think. Late 40s, early 50s. Yeah. They're not going to send him home, in my opinion.
Hopefully not.
To me, this story the second story even reeks of just mental illness.
Mental illness, you think?
Misdiagnosed. Yeah. People are running around the room. This guy's losing his shit. People are running in and out of the room, and you're going to fucking slam doors. Yeah, there's some shit falling off the fucking walls. Shit will fall on the ground.
I feel
you come from this like heavily religious family. Of course, you're going to lash out at that religious side of things. It makes more sense to me that way.
Well, here's the thing: most of the stories, I'm sure there's plenty that maybe just doesn't happen, but every story that I read, we'll say victim, but the person that is possessed.
Why wouldn't it be a victim?
Right. Okay. Right.
Even if it's mental illness.
Yeah. Right. It's a victim. That's fair. All right. So the victim, their family is very religious. Yeah. Every single one of them.
All the time.
You know what I mean? And
they're playing for the team.
And
so
they're
if you
playing on the team.
This,
right.
if you believe this, Do you know what these stories always reek of to me? And maybe this is just my brain going in the wrong direction for things, but these stories always reek of molestation.
Ugh.
And the victim lashing out, like maybe they were molested by the priest, or maybe it was a family member, or whatever it is.
Right.
But it's like literally like their brain can no longer deal with this issue, so they are locking that shit into a fucking box.
Right.
And anytime anything reminds them of what's in that box, they just fucking lose it.
Yeah.
Like schizophrenics who don't, like, there's stories of schizophrenics like where this one personality has to wear glasses,
Right.
and then the other personality can see 20/20.
Can see 20, yeah.
And so, like, I mean, so weird shit like that, like,
Well,
I
and
can
it's
see, and it makes more sense to my brain.
And it's an awfully strange coincidence that the priests aren't allowed to talk about exorcisms either.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, as far as that side of it goes, I'm not buying it, and I think it's almost, if anything, that's a hype man for the church. I'm sure that donations are accepted.
Well, dude,
to perform said exorcism.
dude, and if you really look at it, like, I mean, you got to think attendance is on the decline for the Catholic Church and religion in general.
Right.
Dude, if exorcism was like a provable situation, you don't think they'd be fucking like lording that shit on the front page of every newspaper that they fucking could talk to?
Of course.
But the other thing is that, like, okay, like, let's say that demonic possession exists, and they just have a really bad fucking record. And they're like, well, maybe that's why they're not fucking telling anybody.
Yeah, it's true. We suck
like,
at
man,
this.
like we fucking lose like 95% of these.
Let's keep it hush hush.
Yeah, we're like, well, maybe we don't let people know that the devil exists because we always lose.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
So I mean, all right. So here's me hedging a little bit. There's me like, so I will say I still think the majority of all of these cases is mental illness, or survivor stories, victim stories of molestation.
Yeah.
This is the way that they can kind of.
That's where they cope.
The way they cope, and
Or
in a
they
fashion.
don't cope. They don't cope.
Their brain stops coping.
Right.
Let's say that a very minimalistic amount of these might actually be demonic possession in the true. It's some form of possession.
Right.
Energy possession, or poltergeist possession, or demonic possession, whatever you want to label it.
Yeah.
So let's say there's a very thin, small statistical amount of these that cannot truly be explained by science.
Right. Can't be disproved.
Can't be disproved by science. It wasn't until I go back to this, but there's things that we always kind of decided were, this was the demon, this was a demon, this was an angel, this was this was that. It's because we had a limited understanding of the functionality of invisible forces around us.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, I feel like there is some things out there that are unexplainable, but it's just a limited palette on our part of understanding.
Right.
So, maybe there are like energy beings that are just in a different dimension.
Yeah.
That are fucking tired of being stuck.
Crossed over.
And then they're like, I'm going to grab onto this motherfucker. And that's why priests have no fucking control over being able to fix it.
Right. Well, and and that's the thing, is it's always, every time that there is a well-known exorcism, and even the ones that, there's documentaries that show, someone screaming and being held down and the priest is splashing water on them, and all of a sudden they calm down. Maybe they just get tired. Maybe they tire out. I don't think that that's an actual solution. I don't think that they're possessed by the devil, and I don't think that the priests are the answer, and I don't think they have the magic water.
Now, I will say, like, you show me like actual video, like that they can prove is not photoshopped or, you know,
well, or set up.
Set up.
See, that's my biggest, because I watched a bunch of them, and most of them were. I just watched one that was Polish with English subtitles, and it's pretty fucking convincing that there's a room full of multiple people, and they're all their eyes rolled in the back of their head, and and the priest goes around and does his thing, and he blesses them and splashes the water and puts his hand, and they all kind of calm down, and they're not growling, they're not even really speaking any language, they're just screaming, you know, and it's pretty like, whoa, okay.
I don't care.
It could be set up.
I don't care about that.
Or it could be a bunch of people with mental illness all in the same room.
No, I mean, I still like, to me that's set up.
It could be. I'm saying I don't know.
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, to me that feels like bullshit. And if I saw that, I would say that's bullshit. But what I'm saying when I say like, if you can prove to me, like, show me a video where it's like, this dude, and this dude in the video are fucking doctors or scientists,
and
they're in a hospital setting, and this motherfucker levitates off the bed, like breaks the rules of like physics, gravity, like in a supernatural way. Like, you know, they're like, you legitimately show me video where it's somebody's like chest,
the letters are
and
appearing.
The letters appear.
Right.
Like, and even that, like, I can almost fucking argue that away with the idea that mind over matter, like your body, if you believe in your brain truly that you've been burned by like a fucking ice cube, like,
you can
like
feel
through suggestion, you can believe that an ice cube is actually a hot sticker, and your body will blister up because it's trying to protect itself. It's trying to protect the skin. It's trying to protect the soft tissue. So I can almost even discount seeing the letters or seeing like a pentagram, but you know, those kind of things.
Yeah. Well, so that makes a lot of sense, actually. I think that the story that I read, I think
you break the laws of physics for me. And okay, we're having a conversation. Then I'll have a conversation with you.
Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, you're pretty much like that across the board for anything. Prove it.
Yeah.
And okay, that's fair. Until then, it's all, you know.
The door's still open.
Right.
You guys we can have this conversation all you want, but this is my line in the sand for everything.
Well, the conversation can never end as of now because there is no solid proof. Well, I mean,
not that I'll believe.
Right. Fair enough.
Like, you put it on YouTube. Like,
I watched. No. Well, people have found, you know, whatever. But the story that I read, the second story, I think that there's probably some truth mixed in with, you know, the telephone game.
Right.
You know, and passed down. I don't know about the documents that were written. There might have been some, and then that's how the book was, you know, written. Whatever. But I do think that, again, paranormal, you know, I believe, you even believe somewhat, but I mean, the kid could have had some paranormal activity and all that sort of stuff. He could have gotten scared, lost his shit, you know, gone insane. Who knows? I don't think any of the second half where the scratches and all that, you know, I don't think there was any possession as far as from a demonic standpoint. And I think that kind of would probably go with almost any exorcism story that's been told. There's little bits of truth mixed in with the telephone game.
Okay, so I'll say this will be kind of where I'll end. It's easier for me to believe that we are ushered into a newer step in human evolution to the idea of not necessarily, one would consider them like superpowers, but in reality it would be like low-level telekinesis or mind reading. So like your Son and Sam, your, you know, people who hear these demonic voices, if it's not mental illness, then it's actually like, what if they could actually kind of at certain times eavesdrop when they're using a different part of their brain, like eavesdrop on someone's thoughts. Or if you had the ability to kind of move things with your brain and didn't know how to control it, and then you're like starting like, oh shit, I'm fucking going crazy. Like I had like, the demons have got me. It's easier for me to believe that than it is for me to jump on board with, we're losing the fight against the devil.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean,
Yeah, and that's why I say it spooks me out. And it's not that I believe, they're disproving everything that I believe. It's just the idea of it disproving it freaks me out.
No, yeah.
And that's what creeps me out about the whole thing.
Now, I will say, if I'm completely wrong,
And they make really good fucking movies.
if I'm completely wrong, I think we've had this conversation previously, but if I'm completely wrong, and you were like to put this in my face and show me this, and I could, like you can show me something creepy, like haunted house creepy, and I couldn't, like, just with like the David Blaine thing, like I can't fucking explain that. And that
Right.
question mark, that being off balance, that's frightening.
Right. Yeah.
So if something was presented to me the right way, this is creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
This is my logical, rational side of my brain having this conversation in a
course.
logical, rational way.
Yeah, of course.
If you take me out and off balance put me in a situation where I might not know all the players, I might not know the game.
Right.
You could set this up in a situation and I'd be like, I'm a total fucking believer and oh, you scared the fuck out of me, and I would fucking go home and cry at night and wouldn't be able to sleep, and it would change my whole fucking world.
Right.
And you could do that fairly convincingly with practical special effects and sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors, that kind of thing.
David Blaine could make me a believer.
Yeah.
Right.
Or in the same breath, this stuff could all really exist, and it would scare the shit out of me. I'd piss down my leg. I wouldn't sleep right.
Yeah.
I'd cry myself to sleep at night.
Right.
Or not sleep. I'd just cry in a corner.
Just cry in a corner.
So,
Fetal position.
I mean, it's easy to have this conversation from the warmth and safety of your basement.
Of course.
Although your basement is creepy as fuck.
Dude, I even put fucking
I see.
The Exorcist Reagan right next to me for you.
I see it. But I mean, so I tend to I do leave the door open to a lot of things because I don't know everything. I don't have.
You heard it here, literally the first time.
No, but I mean, but that the idea that I don't like to deal in absolutes. Where all the time this is the way something is, or
Right.
it's never any different than this. This is only because every time
Yeah.
I feel like that is just opening yourself up to get blindsided.
Yeah.
We don't know everything.
No,
we
we
don't
can't.
understand everything. And so
People fear what they don't know.
very much
Fear the
so.
unknown.
And that is a great way to control the masses, which is a major reason why religion has been so popular for
Successful.
thousands of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
You keep the masses off balance. You didn't, dude. If you had any idea of like the movement of stars, which the Aztecs definitely did, and there's like ways, there's like proof that they would schedule their major religious events in front of the masses so that they would happen during eclipses.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that they could scare the fuck out of the
looked
people.
like they were.
They're
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm clenching the heart.
I'm
of,
controlling the.
yeah. So I mean, it's smoke and mirrors, man.
Smart as hell is what
But
it is.
But that's because they didn't understand what was going on.
Right.
And I mean, I'm the same way, man. You put the right set of circumstances in front of me, I'm not going to fucking understand it. I'm going to fucking freak out too.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the real takeaway from this is, I mean, if you lock yourself into a corner and say you understand everything and know everything, you're really opening yourself up to get blindsided. But the other side of this is realize that we don't understand everything.
No, we don't. We don't understand shit.
So it's,
I understand that there's a possibility of anything.
the likelihood is a different conversation.
Yeah, there you go. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's still a spooky ass topic that for some reason
it
gets under my skin.
It is spooky, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I'm chalking it up to most of them are mental illness.
Mental illness. I agree with you there. I'm not disagreeing with you
Or
on
coping, or a form of coping for
that. And sadly,
poor
that's
situations.
probably accurate as well.
But even on the paranormal side, it's easier for my brain to say it's a unlocked part of the mind that we don't understand that can kind of change.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
That's
easier
how-
for me to believe that somebody can learn how to levitate than it would be that there's a spooky guy in a flaming world.
You know me though, so the way I cope with it is like, cool, it's ghosts.
I mean,
You know,
I can't say that it's not.
right?
I'm just saying the likelihood that it is
Well, we go on our field trip.
you choose, I lose.
You're gonna be a believer. Not of exorcisms. God, I fucking hope we don't. I hope none of that shit fucking.
Yeah, man. Hey, dude, here, you heard it first. Like, look, man, you believe, like, we have a conversation and it was like, man, I'm possessed by the devil. Just pull the 12 gauge out and just put one right through me.
Yeah, because I'm tapping out anyway.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know that I got a whole lot of surviving after that anyway.
Yeah, let's put it this way: if we find out that hell is real,
Right.
because
I mean, I don't
we're
know.
both going there,
I
brother.
don't know about that. I don't feel like I'm that bad of a
No,
person.
of course I joke, and I've actually had that conversation. I don't want to get into it. We've been going for shit an hour, 15 minutes, but you know, if you're a good person, whatever, you know, treat people
I mean, we've had the conversation about religion, man. They're arguing over a mascot,
Right.
for the most part.
right.
But no, I mean, I don't think there's really much more. There's no. I don't know that I'd believe the evidence if I saw it, and I'd have to see it with my own eyes. And even my rational and logical side, like once I got away from the situation, would still try to start picking it apart.
Yeah. Well, I would have to either A, see it with my own eyes, or B, it would have to come from someone who has seen it with their own eyes that I believe without a doubt, you know. And even that would be tough, you're right. But
Yeah, man.
all right, well, shit. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah.
I'm you know,
Yeah.
prove Shep wrong.
I mean,
If you've got if you've got proof.
yeah. I mean, if you got proof, even if you got stories, man. Like, I'm not saying this shit don't happen. I'm just saying, like, you know,
And it's
feel
fun
like
to
it's
talk about.
Fairly unlikely most of the time.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
So-
agree. All right.
But super cheery.
Super cheer. Well, I mean it was Real Life Exorcism. I didn't think it would be all.
Yeah, I mean,
But
it took us down the avenues I thought it was going to take us. down.
me too. And I mean, how could it not?
Right.
How could you not with the debate or a discussion over
A
what
discussion
we think?
about exorcism, religion's going to come up.
Yeah.
God, the devil, all those things. I mean, this is kind of rife for
You said the all-star team's a bunch of child fuckers.
child touchers. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, I mean, come on, dude.
I know,
Like,
you
if
could-
it was one or two cases over the history of the Catholic Church, then no. But like,
Call a spade, man.
but
All right. That topic was aces.
it was aces. Spooky good time tonight.
Oh, shit. All right. I'm going to do a listener suggestion next week.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, you're doing one. I figured.
We're going back to back listener suggestions.
Yeah, I don't think you have anything else on your list, do you? Like, actually, your original list?
I can check, but I think
That's
I got a
all
couple. I think I got a couple more actually.
That's all right. I want to get some of these listener
Yeah,
suggestions
we got listener suggestions
knocked out. So
for days.
yeah, for days, but keep them coming.
Yep.
Stay away from the the fucking.
Like, yeah, can we stay away from child crimes for a little while?
Three of the suggestions in the fucking.
we got one day where we got 3 suggestions on like child crime, and I'm like, oh,
Oh god,
I don't.
I'm trying to spread out the.
So,
yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, good shit, man.
all right, man.
Real life exorcism.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah.